This video is sponsored by the Foggy Dew, Dublin's legendary pub, located beside the Central Bank and Temple Bar. Come in for great nights, pints and supporting metal. Shout out to our other sponsor, Helio Gas Detection.
Hey everybody, Richard here from the Metal Cell podcast. I've got Tooms in the house. I've got Anto, Al and Kieran of the band. Thanks for joining me tonight, lads.
No worries.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to welcome you back, actually, lads. And what an occasion too. You've just released the album of your lives, and that's straight up. Already an album of the year contender for me, hands down.
Amazing. Thank you.
Fucking hell, lads, I'm proud of you. I know we've talked in the past about okay, if you don't mind me saying, I remember specifically last time being kind of a bit frustrated with you that you're not getting as serious as you should be, and there was this talk about maturing and stuff, because it was a bit fucking, come on lads, I know you have it in you, and fuck me, did you produce it with this? It's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
And you know, and I know you've gone the extra few yards with this, especially with the guys that produced it, mixed it and mastered it. It's written all over it that you have gone super uber professional on it, and I welcome it. So we'll spend probably the next hour talking about that. But let me put this to you. First of all, the album itself sounds like a band fully locked into its identity for the first time. Did Karst feel like that when you were making it?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for those kind words. I think you're completely right. The last time we talked about maturing and all things like that, and I think the last EP was maybe the stepping stone from the previous work to this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I feel like what you said there, like, I think Tooms finally sounds like how we wish we had sounded along the way. Okay. We finally figured out how to put the music that we wanted, that was inside of us as a collective, out. So I feel like we've definitely figured out how to do that.
Yeah, and just us getting better at playing and writing, I think is a big part of that. You know, that ability to get stuff out quicker.
Well, 6 years.
Yeah. Well, you know, like stuff coming together in a more natural kind of fashion, you know, where like kind of the instinctual decisions happening a bit faster than they might have in the past, and that kind of crack, you know.
Or even simple stuff like, you know, we in the past we might have, let's say you write 3 riffs, and you're dead set on these 3 riffs being in the song, and they have to make it into a song some way or another, or a lyrical theme or something. But now we've come to a point where it's like, hey, look, riff number 2 isn't really working for the song. Maybe let's just drop it.
Yeah.
And you make a better song out of it. Like there was a huge lesson in
saying no,
in removing sections to make a song better. So
interesting. Would you agree with that, Anto?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's not just kind of like an evolution of our songwriting, but it's like our experience as well of writing, and kind of like that instinct that Alex mentioned of kind of knowing what works and what doesn't work, and I suppose being able to make those calls in the kind of practice room or the writing room. I think that's led to this more fleshed out sound.
Yeah, and do you think as well maybe the persona of you as a band, I suppose he initially played up to that kind of carefree, fucking not give a shit side of things for a long time, and don't get me wrong, people admired you and enjoyed the joke for what it was, but I certainly thought there was far more in ye as a 3-piece to kind of shed that fucking skin and do what you've done now, you know, with Karst.
Yeah,
Rick,
well,
I think you're the first person to touch on this, and I've thought this myself, and I'm sure the lads have as well. Um, this record it has no jokes. There's no shtick. There's no what's the thing? There's no
it's not like flippant.
there's no gimmick. There's
yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
All of like the lyric, whatever about the lyrics, but like every theme and every sort of the well that we drew from to write these songs all come from a lived experience and come from real shit and come from looking inward rather than writing songs that might have like lyrics that don't really mean anything or themes that are kind of jokey. Like this is the first time we've decided even the music itself, like there's sections that have real melancholy, there's sections that have real like you can what I hope that you can feel or hear emotion coming through these songs.
Certainly can, yeah.
So I'm glad that you said that because I think you're the first person that we've spoken to touch on the fact that we kind of shed the skin of maybe the not that it was too many jokes before, but there was definitely like not that we're taking it super serious now, but there's less jokes and it
more depth, I suppose.
More depth, exactly.
More depth.
Yeah.
Like in the past, it would be like we'd come up with like a funny title, like a 1 ton soup.
Yeah,
and just like and explore that to its fullest degree, and that was really enjoyable for the time.
But I think what we learned from writing songs like 1 Ton Soup, which have a silly title, and it's a song about hot soup that burns you when the devil comes to kill you, and that's all well and good, and that's fun. But excuse me, I think that taught us how to construct a song, and how to play riffs and how to stitch things like that together.
Yeah, and I think you have to go through that to get to the depth as well.
Some bands do it in 2 years. Some bands do it in 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, you're reaping the rewards anyway. Put it this way now, do you consider Tooms as a sludge band anymore?
It's a funny question. Like it's like genre is often put to you, when you're in a band. And I obviously like we're always like the typical fucking band be like, we don't believe in genres, man, and like we don't we never think of like genre is never a thing that comes into like any kind of conversation we have amongst ourselves. But like I suppose it's an applicable title in a way that like I feel like sludge is such a broad genre that you can kind of get away with applying that to us. Like I think like progressive sludge is maybe coming there once or twice. So like metallic sludge.
Well, actually, shout out to Barra from the Who Art Thou podcast because he kind of said that we sounded. He's the guy who said you guys sound like metallic sludge, like if Converge and I Hate God had a baby, So, but yeah, like Kieran said, like sort of pigeonholing yourself is a very hard thing to do when you create art or we create music.
Yeah.
But putting yourself under the umbrella of progressive sludge is a very easy thing to do because that covers a huge amount.
Yeah. The reason why
I will say the one thing I will say is we 100% are not a stoner metal band.
No, or stoner doom.
So stop fucking.
Yeah.
We ain't a stoner metal band.
No, but like why I asked you about the sludge thing, and Anto, maybe you could kind of come in on that one, is I think now it's very important you get the atmosphere with the riffs together as a package rather than before when it was very much riff orientated. There now is atmosphere moving through those songs, like a lovely current of atmosphere, and I think you had to work on that maybe to a degree to get it right.
I think the new album kind of shows a lot of our different kind of influences coming out in the songwriting, whereas it's not really pigeonholed in like one sort of genre. But I do kind of think of sludge as kind of like a sort of convenient kind of bass line, and you can add this to it, you can add that to it. But we listen to like lots of different types of metal and music, and we often even refer to some different riffs in the songwriting process as like, maybe like a metalcore riff or a death metal riff. And I think it's kind of like all these different styles are kind of influences are kind of coming out in the music now in kind of like a rounded way, and kind of like that has kind of led to the like it being less genre kind of centered, I guess.
Yeah, because no influence is like not allowed,
Dominant.
basically. you know,
Yeah.
or dominant either, yeah. And that always results in that sort of amorphous, sort of, unexplainable kind of genre thing.
Like Anto said, like we all draw, like all of us can agree on obviously lots of records. Like we all love, so we all love Slaughter of the Soul, we all love Sleep, we all love, well, we don't all love Tool, but we all agree on
Tool.
Anto doesn't love Tool.
Really?
I like Tool.
He doesn't love Tool.
Oh, yeah.
But we agree on a lot of music, right?
Yeah.
So we can all draw from the same well, but we also have separate influence, and that's not just metal.
Yeah.
That's music in general. Like we all,
and that goes into like the subconscious influence thing.
But I think that's what makes that's what makes answering this question difficult, and I'm sure that's what makes answering this question for any band difficult that is interested in music and not just one type of music. Is that we have we draw from such a deep well that it's hard to really put your finger on where you position yourself in terms of genre.
But you're missing the question, though. It's the atmosphere I'm on about.
Well, the atmosphere comes from like lots of different genres. I mean, I think like atmosphere is definitely like a huge part of music that I really atmosphere and emotion. Yes. I really I really appreciate and seek out in music, and like even like the heaviest of brutal death metal. It's atmosphere and emotion. I think that's kind of really like the most powerful, and. But like I that actually like means a lot that like that kind of stood out to you, that aspect.
Yeah.
But again, like I think like I can just think different sections of different songs on the album feel kind of powerful or emotive or atmospheric to me, and I could maybe think like maybe it's more leaning in that direction or that genre direction or subgenre, but again, like we don't approach music thinking it's going to be this type of album or this type of song or so like the atmosphere is definitely like it's a huge part of it, but I think that's kind of something that sort of has naturally come out of these songs.
Yeah,
100%. And I suppose the atmosphere as well is like it's something that sort of naturally happens because of the way they write the songs and the way it's all very sort of in the flow and in the moment, and just in like a kind of conversational, sketching kind of atmosphere in the band room itself. I think that's where a lot of the sort of just this some kind of atmosphere will bubble up.
Yeah,
But
I think if you like, let's say I don't know how many songs. There's maybe 8 or 9 songs. I can't remember exactly what's that are on the record. But you start. Let's say you write song number 1, whichever one it might be. That sets the tone for the rest of the record, and that kind of sets the tone for the atmosphere and the emotion. You kind of go down that avenue and explore it, and it, more songs develop from that.
And I've always said as well that like, and I feel that I think it rings true with all of our releases that like all of them are kind of like there's sort of a snapshot of the period of time that they were written within. And that's, I suppose, going back to atmosphere again, that's sort of what it comes across is like when I look back on the album. It's like it's very indicative of where we're all at in the kind of 5 years or so in the writing, and so it almost becomes a bit of a concept album in a way, and they all do because they always have this sort of, like the Schmeckening was about that time, and this album's about this time, that kind of way.
Yeah, but I like again, it's just like. When I look at the songs, there's 3 instrumentals on it, and they're there for a reason as well. Is it 3? Yeah.
No? There's 3. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And all that kind of witchy gives it a kind of almost cinematic kind of feel to it, and also it's more immersive than immediate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
100%. Like what we used to do. I spoke about this before. Like. Every previous release, if you listen to the first track, it's a soft open, it's instrumental, it's gentle. And that's what every record we've put out previous, or every release we've put out previous. With this one, we wanted the record to start with a real punch. So that's where you get Kieran's immediate drum roll, first song, boom, in you go. And the instrumentals don't happen until you get 3 pretty heavy songs, pretty punchy songs to begin with. And then the first instrumental comes. That was very... we were very conscious about choosing to do it that way.
Yes.
And the instrumentals aren't just for the sake of having them. They're there to create a flow. Like the first record we did, there was like synthy sections in between each that sort of tied the entire record together. So you could really start the record on track one,
and that gives you the immersive quality straight away.
But the record it could flow from anywhere. Anywhere could be the beginning. Whereas with this record, there's a section of silence between each. So we were very, very conscious about the flow of the record, and those instrumental songs we were very conscious about where we put them, basically. We thought about it.
Yeah. Oh, it comes across that way. And as I said,
you mentioned cinematic, like what inspired like Two Silver Pieces, especially, and Blue Angel to a certain degree. I'm a huge fan of the Dollars trilogy, and I had bought myself a baritone guitar, Dan Electro 30-inch for anybody who wants to get technical. And this was, Jesus, December 2003 or 2000. It might even be 2020, 2003, 2020, 2003. No, December 2020. I sat in my mother's box room, and I was just jamming away on this new guitar I bought, and I kind of got the riff, and that's how old some of these songs are.
Seriously,
but they were massively inspired by the instrumentals, the two guitar-based instrumentals, Blue Angel and Silver Pieces, they do kind of come from the Dollars trilogy. So they're very inspired by like cinema.
Yeah. And I think that inspires like the additional things that put onto the tracks then, like the percussion on there and the piano and stuff. Like whenever I hear like two Silver Pieces back, I get such a strong mental image of like a saloon where this is playing, and like a guy walks in and like gets some whiskey down off the bar, and like the piano comes in. That's just a guy that sat down out of nowhere at this piano and goes, yeah, I think I'll play along with you there, and just like starts playing this thing, and like it's such a it's like a scene.
Okay, let's jump into it then. Let's play the first track, and Blood Rust of Cudgel and Quill. Here we go. That feels like the earth cracking open. My God, straight away, number one, like it's a quick fucking smash into the head. What strikes as well is the production values and how hard you worked on getting that sound. You've obviously went with Chris Fielding, who mastered it, and Matt Bayles, who mixed it. Chris was involved with you again.
Chris Quigley he's the reason we work with him the whole time is because, well, we've worked with him so much now that he just kind of knows, like, we don't really have to, you develop a language with people and you work with them for so long, so he's so easy to work with. He gets what we're trying to
do. Again, Chris Fielding, legend in the scene. He seems to kind of know his way around grime and physicality, if it makes sense with music.
Low end.
Yeah.
Well, if he can mix the low end of Conan, I know that I don't think he plays with Conan anymore, but I think he's still pretty heavily involved in the production side of Conan, and he did play with him for a while. But if he can make a band that tunes down to drop F on a Gibson scale guitar sound as crisp and articulate as they do, then we were like, I'm sure he can figure out how to make us sound good. You know what I mean? And then Matt Bayles had worked with bands like ISIS, Mastodon, you know, those are some of my favorite bands and some of my favorite records that those bands had ever made. When I was a teenager, I remember watching the making of Mastodon documentaries and seeing Matt Bayles in those videos, and then looking at the back of a CD and being like, oh yeah, Matt Bayles, you know, produced by Mastodon and Matt Bayles, cool, whatever. I never in a million years thought that years down the line I'd be emailing back and forth, or we'd be emailing back and forth with Matt Bayles and him saying, hey, I really like this section. It could do with this, this, and this. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so
amazing.
Yeah.
how did you get the contact with him up and running?
We just honestly we had tried with another crowd, and it was going to be great, but the timing didn't work out. And not that we were under time pressure, but we kind of just wanted to get
the ball rolling.
We wanted to get the ball rolling, exactly. So I thought, lads, the other crowd had said, basically, long story short, it wasn't going to work out. So I goes, I've got a mad idea. Let's try this guy. Okay, why not?
Yeah.
So we sent an email, and myself, I think it was that day we were in Dublin. We were walking around. I think possibly the day we went to go see Blood Incantation. I sent this email, or maybe I got the email back from him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd be happy to work with you. Send me on your tracks, and we can start working." And there's a lesson there that's like, if you don't ask, you cannot receive. So he got back to us. We opened up the conversation, and within a couple of days he started work on.
He was firing on like so fast. Yeah,
he started mixing straight away.
Barely even invoiced, and he was working away like.
Pretty much the same then with Chris Fielding, that we sent him on, said, hey, we've got these tracks, we've been mixed by Matt Bayles, would you be interested in mastering? And he was like, absolutely. And both of those lads, shout out to the two of them, were so great to work with. Like I remember I got really caught up in the weeds, we should turn this down by 1 dB and try this and do that. And there was never a second of like, hey man, relax, that's too much work. They were always very accommodating and never made it feel like we
always trying stuff out, and like I'm just so good at like just really easy to work with basically.
Ultimately they were like, it's your art, we're happy to help you make your art. And they were great.
That's cool, isn't it?
But also there was the aspect of like, and I think we even maybe might have said this to Matt, just calling him Matt like it's nothing.
Our buddy Matt.
Yeah. But that kind of thing of us being like, you know, we chose him because we knew he would be putting his own stamp on it, you know.
Exactly.
That kind of there. And I think I can only assume that's kind of nice from his point of view as well. You know, having a band go to you and be like, we admire what you've worked on, so we feel like you can put your own stamp on this and put your own sound on this. So it gives them a bit of freedom then as well, you know.
Yeah. Well, it sounds enormous, like, and the thing about it not only does it sound enormous, but it hasn't lost the humanity side of it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can always get in a fucking super producer and stuff like that, and it might sound sterile or something like that, but he's got what you wanted, you know what I mean?
Well, I think
Chris
Quigley really helped there, because he suggested that there's certain sections, like that section you just played. It's really, if you slip out of time a little bit, that begins to sound messy. So Chris had suggested that we start rehearsing with a click to certain sections. So we, in our rehearsal studio or rehearsal room, began practicing certain sections to clicks and figuring out what dB and, you know, or BPM rather, not dB, but figuring out how these songs should sound. We'd play them and write them and whatever and get comfortable, and then we'd bring in the click. So that kind of came into the studio, and we were all very comfortable. Like, we'd played these songs, we'd practiced the fuck out of them together. Then we brought the click in, we practiced the fuck out of it with a click. And then, without getting too caught up in the weeds here, but normally a guitar would be doubled or quadrupled. It's basically one performance, split stereo, and then a lead performance on top. So there's a very, very small amount of guitars.
Yeah.
But it's made sound so huge.
Yes.
It sounds live, basically.
But also on that point, actually, the Big 8 is a great example of the combination of those, where that kind of blasty section was to a click, but then the bit transitions into the big heavy outro, that was just done completely live.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because there was sections where we just recognized that there's certain sections that need that live feel.
They need that push and pull, that slip and tempo. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
and then combining it all together. But also even with the click sections, like keeping it in mind that like energy is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know, and if you have like
100%, yeah.
yeah,
Especially
yeah.
with the opening track.
So,
Well, we were very, very conscious about that being the opening track. Because there's that really, it's an immediate drum roll, and the song starts off like it's a real gut punch. It's not super fast at the beginning. It's kind of mid-tempo, but we just
Gets
figured
it straight in there.
that was the opening track for sure.
I don't have the lyrics, but what's it? Is it self-explanatory? Blood Rust of Cudgel and Quill.
I suppose the theme there, without the lyrics will all be posted up once we post it up, everyone can get the lyrics. But I guess the overall theme is losing yourself to
addictions.
Yeah, I suppose losing yourself to substance abuse, or like, but it's all drenched in metaphor where it's a warlord coming down from the mountain and all this stuff. But the theme there is losing yourself or not losing yourself and finding yourself back from.
And the whole idea of like sacrifice and self-sacrifice and bringing yourself back to this altar of sacrifice over and over again.
Yeah, repeating
this kind of thing.
The repetition of a mistake that is harmful to oneself.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Or not learning. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the second track. One of my favorites, Lowlander.
Oh yeah,
my favorite.
Oh, cool. Okay.
My favorite too. One of them.
Yeah, that's class. So in relation to this track, it seems very measured in relation to its aggression and I suppose well thought out of, not in a cynical way, but I certainly think this is going to be a live stable for years, yeah?
Oh yeah, man.
Sure.
Like that riff,
real fun to play.
The main riff that we refer to as the Tool riff.
The one that began the beat you played there.
Yeah, the one at the beginning of that clip that you played. In about just after our first album came out, I bought myself a baritone guitar and wanted to experiment with just more melody. Tooms in the past was very riffy and like very, very meat and potatoes. I wanted to experiment with more melody and more like slower mid-tempo kind of stuff that had a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that riff was basically an experiment in that. And then I wanted to layer it with harmony. So it's the same riff played, but it's harmonized, and the same pattern rather harmonized up and down the neck. So that was the musical basis for it, and everything else came from that.
But also, you say that like that strikes you as a well thought out track, which is funny because that's one of the tracks that came together the fastest.
Once I showed the lads that riff, like I had a couple more ideas. Anto had some cool stuff. His drum patterns came almost immediately. Some songs
those are all very immediate. I think
you might bring a riff to the band room, and you might be banging your head against the wall for weeks. And you might not get a part. That we all just straight away with this song, it just clicked.
Yeah,
the song just kind of.
Well, apart from the drums in that section, which were written, the drum part for that was written in the studio.
Yeah, but
yeah.
There was everyone just understood
but the structure
was completely there. We just knew that song, the old cliche of the song writing itself. That song basically wrote itself.
Yeah. One of those ones I really couldn't. It's a bit like Stampede. Like whenever we try to think back of how it came together, it's like I have no idea.
It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
song
yeah.
was always there, do you know?
Yeah.
Anto, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I was just thinking like yeah, I think it's kind of like this one of the first kind of like songs of our like of a more new, like a more dynamic kind of like sound for
Mm.
us.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Like especially like when Alex showed us that riff, what we call the riff that introduced that section, that and like the intro
Good
riff
one, good
especially.
one.
I thought they were so interesting, like this kind of more spacious kind of chordy sections rather
Yeah.
than just the meat and potatoes kind of like kind of
Mm.
caveman riffs. But yeah, I
Mm.
thought that like that's kind of like the start of kind of a more dynamic kind of range of us.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely does sound like progressive and post metal even coming
Even
in
Yeah.
there.
the beginning of that song begins with like the beginning of Lowlander is this huge chord on like a baritone guitar that like you have to play it slow, but
yeah.
it's such a big sound. It's almost like listening to a piano, like it's huge. Um, which is something we'd never really we really played really slow single finger power chords or what or else really fucking fast. So
Mm.
this was like again like let's try something completely different. Let's go in a whole new direction. Um, a lot of people would think that was hard to do. It was refreshing to do that. It was
Yeah,
refreshing to
of
go
course.
in
Yeah.
down a new avenue,
Mm.
That's what I meant
Natural.
by kind of well thought out of that. Like when you got it, you got it,
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, and like you stuck with it then, like which is correct, because you just have to trust your instincts a lot of the
Fact.
yeah,
time with
Yeah.
these.
yeah.
Mm, yeah. Okay. Another favorite of mine, Tower of Silence. Okay.
They're all favorites.
We like them all.
It's a fucking brilliant album, simple as. Okay. There we go. I was giggling my ass off when I heard this track. It's such an amazing track, and again, the progression of a band is there to see with this track.
Mm.
Well done,
It's a very
lads.
it's a very satisfying song, I think. It's a real feast
Oh,
for the
it is a
ears.
feast, yeah. I mean, the
Yeah.
clean vocals, everything. It's ritualistic. It's massive. The clean
Great flow.
vocals even sound violent to
Well,
a point
the
as
clean
well.
vocals is completely like all hats off and all kudos to Kieran there. Like
Yeah.
those are lyrics I'd written. I don't even know when those lyrics were written, but I had a notebook and I opened them and I goes, oh fuck, there's, I'll spare you the details on how songs like that come together. But I remember being in the room doing vocals and being like, man, I have these lyrics and I can't make them work. And I think it was Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Chris going, maybe like Kieran tried those. I think he might have the voice for this section. It's like, oh yeah, by all means, try it. And Kieran came up with this vocal
I think that was in
melody.
the band room.
You think?
I think that was in the band
Yeah.
room, yeah.
But
No,
there you
we
go.
had it before recording for sure.
But Kieran came up with Kieran basically came up with the vocal melody for the main chunk of the song and their lyrics that I had put together. And to be able to write lyrics and then give them away to somebody and then hear your own lyrics back in a way better way than I was able to perform them myself, because the way he did the lyrics or the vocals for that section, I was trying something. I was going down a completely different. I was going down like a dying fetus, like really low guttural avenue, and it wasn't working. It wasn't fitting the song. And Kieran goes, "Let me try something." And the second we all heard it, we're like, "Oh yeah, that's And by the way, he's playing drums at the same time while we're jamming this. So he's playing drums and doing his vocals. We're like, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell us you could do this years ago? Why have I been banging away on these vocals the whole time? So that was like,
it's funny though, because it's
a revelation.
Yeah. It's funny though, because it's one of those moments of like, I guess just like one of those nice collaborative moments, you know, where like, you know, the words were there, you know, like it was like almost like a poem more than anything else, I suppose. It's like, it was just like, it was like, I think it was quite, I assume when you wrote them, it was very, what's the word?
Miserable.
yeah. But like, you know, when it's straight off the dome kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And then, so it's more of a series of kind of words than anything else. And then, I don't know, yeah, like this melody just came, this melody just came straight through.
Which is cool, because when I wrote them, obviously they were just coming out. And then there was no thought of melody, and you know, he put the melody to them. It was amazing. It was a very, like you said, very cool collaborative thing to do. And it made writing lyrics from that point onwards a lot more fun, because I was no longer writing just for myself and being like, how am I going to play guitar and sing this? It was like, well, now there's two voices, and we had been experimenting with that before.
I remember that, before.
Yeah, but this song was the first one where I think we both realized that, like, hold on, we can really become, it's no longer a lead singer and a backup vocalist.
Yeah.
It's now like we have two voices in the band. That was, for me, I was like, oh, thank fuck, because at the end of most gigs, I'm sweaty, I'm tired, and
you don't say it. Anto, what do you remember about the writing of this song, especially maybe the studio side of it?
I mean, your bass intro informs it hugely.
Yeah, I feel like
started,
that was definitely like a real another collaborative track. I don't know when I wrote that bass intro. I think I wrote that like before any of the album actually came about, when I first moved to a 5-string bass, and I was kind of just exploring some of the kind of higher strings and messing about, and then the intro happened first, and then the riff after that, and the couple of riffs after that. So I kind of had like a sort of structure the first like few riffs, and and then we just
were they your riffs, Anto? Those first couple, right?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah, they were yours, right? Yeah.
And then we kind of added like the middle section, and the outro kind of comes back to the original riff again. But that was all like very collaborative, and like it wasn't exactly. I think I actually had like a far simpler kind of like early Electric Wizard kind of idea of like three
just like
riffs.
This riff, that riff kind of thing.
Yeah, and I remember the drums in the kind of like one, like what I think of the verse and chorus in the first section. Kieran, I remember like you trying out like lots of different drum patterns. Remember that?
Yeah.
We kind of cycled through, like you were kind of cycling through like a few until like those we landed on those ones.
Until we landed on Double Kick in China.
Like, you know, also with G as a band, and I find it interesting that sometimes repetition with riffs and maybe even certain drum sections, it actually builds up the kind of emotional pressure in a song, if that makes sense. I think you've kind of have that down to fine art, certainly on this album anyway, for sure, you know.
I personally love sections that come back like as a refrain, or you know, come back as an outro, and especially when they come back as a variation and you kind of build on them, which that song is a great example of it.
Yeah.
Well, Anto, I think you're a large part of why we do that, because I'm guilty of writing 100 riffs and trying to put 100 riffs into one song, and you'll be like, hold on a second, let's maybe use the 10 riffs we already have in the song and bring some of them back. Like, no, fuck that. Those are just the first 10 riffs. Let's do 10 more. You're very good at at building a song, you know, at songwriting, and it's Anto normally that is like, let's
I
maybe
think
try and bring that back.
yeah, I think that the repetition is great to kind of hook, as like to kind of hook people in and kind of bring them along, like the journey of a song, and kind of snap them back.
Definitely. And I think it's important as well because you're a three-piece, so you're not fucking overloading each other's
Yeah.
responsibilities. As Alex was saying, trying to squeeze in more than you should do, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It'll definitely add to the whole live experience as well, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, on to Blue Angel. This actually is the first instrumental of the album, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about this with the emotional aspect in this album. I'm really getting it right through it. Yeah, yet this track not only is it kind of building the emotion, it's probably the first one to sequence what's coming after it. But also it's disorientating as well. Almost psychedelic, but disorientating the listener to a point, which I enjoyed, you know. And I welcomed it when I heard it. I went, "Oh, nice." So
I guess it's a combination of a lot of different things, I suppose. Like it's like a really nice. First of all, it's a break.
yeah,
Second of all, it's like just a really just lush, satisfying little piece of music. And then also the way it relates to the next track, then
yeah,
it's like you know, you get this nice break, and then you come in with like this the sample of the next song, and all just comes right back, you know.
yeah.
But
So I think,
that song it's very well, first of all, Blue Angel is short, and it's really raw. Like there's a down-tuned Telecaster that was played through. I don't want to get too technical because I know this isn't a technical podcast.
I think we do.
But no, I will keep it short. I'll keep it brief, and I'll try and refrain from being a massive nerd. But it's a down-tuned Telecaster played through 3 vintage amps: a vintage Vox, a vintage Fender, and a vintage Gibson, with an American input. But I won't go down that. But they all had their very own distinctive like tremolos and reverbs and delays built into the amp. So there's no pedals there.
Okay.
And myself and Chris really tried, and this goes for Blue Angel and for Two Silver Pieces. We spent probably more time than we should have building the atmosphere of the instrumental songs. And we also used my orange amp into a Leslie speaker, which is a rotating. They used to use it for organs, rotating organ speaker that was used for both of those instrumentals.
Love a Leslie.
And for Anto's release tension that we'll get to later. But there's a rawness. It's just one guitar. That's it. It's one. It's not doubled. It's not whatever. It's one single guitar right down the middle. And then later on, Chris, he's this electric guitar with the contact mic that he used, a bow. So you get that sort of swelling and dropping sound that's sort of in the background of that song.
Yeah. So it's like a richness actually to it.
It's lush and it's rich, but it's very short and it's very raw.
And it sounds like you're in the room.
Oh yeah, you sound like the guitars are right. You're right here. Yeah,
I think there's even like some squeaks and some chair squeaks and stuff happening, you know. And
you can hear the chairs of the studio, like the stool that I was in.
And even that was such a considered thing. Like I remember you saying that at the time. Like I think you had some like Nirvana song.
It's a reference. I'm so glad you remembered. It's a reference of Marigold. With the lights out, there's a song called Marigold. I think I am almost certain that it's actually Dave Grohl singing on it, but you can hear him squeaking in the chair in the studio. It's a beautiful song, but I always thought that was so cool that it's a snapshot of a time in the studio where you can hear the chair squeaking.
Yeah.
Not that I was trying to make noise on the chair on purpose, but
But that idea of like actual like real atmosphere, I suppose, and like there's certain live albums I love that like where like you have real crowd noise and that kind of thing, and like it just all adds to this atmosphere, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Drink Welt, is that the
Drink
way you
Cult.
pronounce it?
Drink Cult, like a cult of drink, but it's black metal.
yeah, Drink
We
Cult.
use the V.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I
clever.
should know better, knowing ye. Anyway, here it is. There's the part I picked. Yeah, you can imagine this massive humanity in Dolan's fucking swaying to this.
Fuck yeah.
When I first heard it, so you know, you can always if you love music like we all do, and that's why we're on the fucking show anyway, you can always reference certain riffs and certain songs back to childhood, and this gave me a lovely bang, and when I heard it, I was going, that fucking doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. I was there going, hang on a while. So of course I went down a fucking rabbit hole then of around, I'd say maybe 4 hours going, this is wrecking my fucking head.
Don't tell me nicked someone's riff.
And what a riff to get. It's Deep Purple, Strange Kind of Woman.
Yeah.
No.
I love Deep Purple. I didn't, you know what?
Hell yeah, brother.
Man, unreal.
That's gas. Shit, I listened to
It's
that.
funny now because you
It drove
talked
me
about,
crazy, like.
man, this is mad. You were going on about bringing you back to your childhood. I saw Weed Eater. We all went and saw Weed Eater when they first played there in 2023 or 24 in Dublin. And when I was a teenager, the whole sludge metal thing was great. But when I first heard Weed Eater, I was like, man, this is the shit. This is amazing. So after seeing them, I was like, I'm going to try and write a Weed Eater riff. And basically, Drink Cult came from that. And it was not that I ripped off one of their songs, but I kind of was like, I want to explore the avenue of like, get as silly with it as possible. And that's basically where Drink Cult started. But it was a complete love of like going back to your childhood or your teenage years. That's so funny that you got that as well, man. That's great.
That's fucking mad. And of course, you've got the Tooms humor running through that one as well. You know,
that's the only
little bit of humor.
That's the only song on the album. Like we've been calling it the red herring or the outlier of the album, where there's a little bit of humor at the beginning with the sample from Brass Eye. You know, it's not a drug, it's a drink.
But it's fitting.
But that's the only real bit of humor. Like this is I guess it's the fun song or the parties. Every album needs a party song. Every album needs a fun song. Right, and this is the one.
And it shows like that it's important to not be afraid of that as well.
Yeah,
as serious and mature as you want to be, like you gotta have a bit of crack too, you know.
But this one, like this one, just kind of wrote again. This one wrote itself. I wrote that first riff. I rang Kieran, are you busy? No. Called over to his house. He had his electronic case. I brought a small amp, and within 2 or 3 hours, we had the bones of the song written. Showed it to Anto. He wrote his bass lines, and the song was done. I'd say the song was written in about 4 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
I think we had like
perfected along the way.
Yeah. I think we had like an extra repetition or something that we got rid of, but pretty much
the skeleton was done very quick. But that song again, like being the outlier, but it's, the themes there are about you can have a lot of fun partying, you can have a lot of fun drinking and having the crack, but again, it's about not losing yourself to that.
Yeah.
It's about being aware that you can lose yourself to having too much crack, and you can go down that avenue and it become a slippery slope. But so it's fun, but there's a message there as well, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like in a previous life, we might have just done the crack side of it,
Yeah, but like where you placed it as well, it just gives us
That was very important. Yeah.
a nice kind of break in especially in what's coming through. And again, dovetailed nicely with 2 silver pieces. This is class. Okay, here we go. The second instrumental. I think another overlooked side to this album is the care you put into tracks finishing.
Yeah.
When it fades out, it's not simply a fade out. There's actual thought put
No,
into
we
it.
got that like lots of like huge consideration, the kind of the layout of the tracks on the album, the running order, and where would go what, and what outro, how it finishes, if it would lead into a certain instrumental, and like that was actually just really lovely to listen to. It's a Drink Cult is kind of the midpoint, kind of like an anchor, and I like how Blue Angel is before Drink Cult. It's kind of briefer. It's just like a brief, kind of like lovely break, and then Silver Pieces is kind of more. It's longer. There's more to it, and you can kind of almost kind of settle into it.
Yeah, I think it's something I said before that like it's like Blue Angel introduces these sort of themes and atmospheres. Then you get Drink Cult, but then 2 Silver Pieces kind of expands on that in a way.
But I think
one aspect of it.
Richie, what you said there about consideration going into the way songs begin or the way songs end. Like I mentioned before about how let's say our previous full-length album, it had these synthy parts in between them, and you could start the song anywhere, and it feels like one continuous piece of music. We were very conscious this time round of having, it would be track 1, then track 2, then track 3, and so on, and there would be a space of silence in between each track, so there would be individual tracks together. There are a collection of songs rather than one big piece of music, but it was very important to us all. How do you finish a song? You can't just chop it off, and it was.
It's often overlooked. It's something that I feel that it should
But
be brought up a bit more.
We really tried now this time to be like, well, writing a song is hard enough, but finishing it and making it sort of end. I think the beginning and end of a song is as important as the song itself.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I would say as well, like unless it isn't obvious, like the songs just happen to kind of work like that. Like we certainly didn't write or change any outros or intros to think, oh, that would fit better with that song or that song. The songs were there, and we just kind of like, I guess, kind of shuffled them around or curated them or assembled them.
Well, the
and they
songs
worked.
were definitely written the way they were written. We were considering the beginnings and ends and middles and all that, but the way we pieced them together, and which the running order, that took a bit of moving around, and that was, certain songs outros and certain songs intros fit together well, and that was sort of happenstance, but the flow was very considered.
Yeah. What was the one song actually that you had the most trouble with in relation to running order?
Oh,
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that we had Blue Angel and Drink Cult. We weren't sure which way they would go.
Okay.
They were moved around, and I think we had some trouble with Tower of Silence.
Power Lander got swapped around a bit, I think.
Whitethorn got moved around a little bit as
Yeah.
well.
I was gonna say there that it wouldn't have surprised me if Whitethorn was number 3 and Tower of Silence was number 7.
That's exactly how it
Yeah.
was going to be.
I think that's it. Yeah.
We were
Okay.
very, very stuck
Yeah.
on saying which one was going to be the second to last song.
Yeah.
Because it's very, I think the second to last or the penultimate song is.
No,
is
you got
as
it
important.
right. You got it right.
But
The more you
I think
listen to the album,
ultimately,
Yeah.
we did get it right.
Yeah.
So when we've got 3 different formats coming out, like tape, CD, and vinyl, but it wouldn't fit on an A and a B side. So we've ended up going with a 3-sided vinyl, A, B, and C side, and the side D is blank. But
okay.
Orig-
I've ordered the vinyl actually. That's
oh,
what I
great!
ordered.
Nice
Good
one.
man.
And, but originally we had briefly thought about, and Kieran didn't. Kieran was never of this mind, but me and Anto were saying maybe we could drop one song and fit it on A and B side. But the second you drop, I won't say which, but the second you drop any of the songs, you lose the flow completely. It becomes, even just by taking one song away, it feels disjointed. And I feel like all the songs were written together, they just fit together. Again, a little bit by happenstance, but we figured out the flow. But
Yeah. Like I feel like there was a general flow that was landed on fairly fast, and then it was like, yeah, just getting the actual
figuring out the Whitethorn was always going to be in the middle. Physics was pretty much always going to be at the end, and Blood Rust was pretty much always going to be at the start.
Yeah.
Drink Cult was always going to be somewhere in the middle. But then Whitethorn and Tower of Silence and Blue Angel and Release of Tension, they were getting jumbled around loads.
Yeah.
So it did take a bit of shuffling, but ultimately I think I think we can all agree that we landed on the best order.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And instrumentation on that, you were saying there, Alex, I know the inspiration was Dollars trilogy, but the piano and stuff, how did that develop?
Honestly, we were in the studio. We knew we wanted more to it. It wasn't just going to be like a guitar part. Kieran had, we'd all decided that we'd do some percussion, and Kieran had some cool ideas about putting rocks and pistachios into a milk jug. There was some toms, and we had these cool ideas for percussion, and we kind of knew we wanted a bit more melody. And at the end of a recording day, at the end of actually the day that we done Blue Angel, 2 silver pieces, and a little bit of Release of Tension, and maybe some guitars, we were kind of at the end of the day in the recording studio, and we were having a few tins, and we were listening back to what we'd done that day, and Chris goes, "How do you feel?" And we thought, maybe it'd be cool if you tried something. And we looked into the corner of the studio, and there's this old, battered, dusty piano, way buried behind all the other gear. We'd all this gear to choose from, synths and cutting edge stuff. And Chris goes, no, that's the one. And we pulled this shitty old piano out, and he goes, all right, you press record when I give you the thumbs up. We're like, we don't know how to use a recording desk. So we playing the song, we hit record after a few tins, and he just starts playing this counter melody. And the 3 of us were in the recording, or the control room rather, and we knew straight away, like, oh my God, man, that has brought the song from cool, like just brought it up a level. And similarly enough, like when we were in his house where we were mixing, he busted out like an acoustic 12-string and just started doing this stuff. Like, man, unbelievable.
It's a moment I'm like ceaselessly waiting for in recording for Chris to just go like, I've got a bit of an idea for that. I'm like, yeah, work away.
That's part of the reason why we ask him to record with us, because he's not afraid to offer suggestions in instrumentation and recording techniques or whatever. Like, that's why we like working with him. So he brought that song to a new level. Off the melody and the percussion that we had. put together.
It was the missing link, yeah. Nice one. Okay, Whitethorn, another favorite. It's fucking great. And this is the section I chose. Incredible song. Hannah Lamari of Girlfriend. How did she end up singing that part? Like, was that always in her?
It was Chris's suggestion again. Yeah, without going too deep into like the kind of the meaning of the song, it's all very Alex, very personal to Alex. But like he basically Chris's suggestion to be like, what if we get like a female voice on here, basically. And yeah, he just suggested her, and we were like, yeah, sounds cool. We were kind of we're all fans of Girlfriend. We know kind of her sort of style of singing. Like is kind of she's got this great way of like, I don't know, it's like a kind of like almost like an almost like uncontrolled howl, you know, sometimes where it sounds like it's about to just break open. And so yeah, we got her down into Chris's gaff when we were doing vocals to do that section, and she God bless her, we got her to do the earlier section in the song, which is a fucking crazy time signature. And we was like, go do that, and she was having such trouble with it.
I remember she came in that evening. We were kind of at the end of a mixing day, and Hannah came in that evening. She cycled up, and I think she might have come in after work one day. And the main section is a pretty straightforward 4/4 sort of section.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. She knocked that one out of the park.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll try this section. She goes, oh, I'll try it. And I remember her being down in the recording section and us being up in the control room, and her being like, who the fuck wrote this? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I was like, oh yeah, sorry about that.
Tooms time.
So she'd be like a mutual friend so we'd be friends with Chris and she'd be friends with Chris, and we kind of met her through Chris. And like Kieran said, I won't get too deep into the teams, but I think this is probably the darkest we've ever gotten, or I've gotten maybe with teams of where a song or what it means. Like it definitely goes into the darker side of life, like losing a child, and there's losing people to, I don't want to get too dark now, but it's losing people to suicide, which the three of us have dealt with, losing children and domestic abuse and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the teams were sort of from the perspective of maybe of a woman, and Chris had basically suggested that maybe we should get a female vocal on this, so that it's not just
to represent that, like
not just a man screaming about things that could happen to women. And originally, to be honest, I was like, I don't know, man, this is probably the most I've ever bared my soul, the most I've ever bared, like, it's the most vulnerable I've ever made myself ever, like. And he was like, well, maybe you should try bringing a new voice in. And straight away I was like, no way. The fact that I've even gotten this personal is challenging enough. But he was completely right, and Hannah elevated that song completely and brought it to a new level. And I think that her voice blends not just with the song, but with my voice and with Kieran's voice. And I'm really pleased that she's on there.
Yeah. But also is like, speaking about vocal performances, it's like it's Alex's best of the album as well, in my opinion. On that first section you played, like it's fucking sick.
Well, that's a song that, like, I don't want to say this easier, but I imagine that, previous songs we've written, like we talked about One Ton Soup earlier, it's a song about the devil killing you with soup, basically, which is all well and good. It's fun, it's silly, it's a party song. After a certain amount of time playing a song like that live, it becomes kind of like, you're going through the motions, like, what am I even singing about? What is this? Whereas a song like Whitethorn, I can see myself playing this song in 10 years, 20 years, and still being able to draw from the same dark place and taking that negative life experience and turning it into music or art. It's always going to be easy to make that a real performance or a real vocal. I can always draw from the same place,
Yeah. I mean, but I think I know what you're saying, Alex, there, but lyrically, what you've talked about there, the music swells that up and gives a huge sense of momentum with the song. That if you disconnect away from the lyrics, it's the music that'll carry that swell through. And it's such a difficult balance to get in a particular song like this, and also the fact that you've Hannah singing as well on it. Like it's a really complex sort of song for you to as a three piece to take on, and I know Chris.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, I know Chris was involved in it as well. So Anto, maybe just talk about that, like.
Yeah, God, I don't know if I've how much more I have to add to it. It's there's a lot to the song.
There is, yeah.
They're definitely maybe our most complex in the album. Maybe definitely up there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I can add.
No,
I will say
understand what
that
I'm saying though, with the emotional side of it. Again, we're like a lot of these tracks, like it's all about emotion, but it sounds fucking huge, this momentum building in that song.
Well, I think you could take the lyrical themes away from that song completely. And like that's only where I was drawing from. Like I think the listener can take away their own interpretation completely. But again, the lyrics, the themes are what they are. That's where the original ideas came from.
Yeah.
The themes are what they are, but the lyrics themselves they're pretty ambiguous. They're metaphorical. And I think a listener who may not listen to this podcast and have no idea what the lyrics are about, they can draw their own interpretation from them.
Yeah.
However, you could take the lyrics away completely, and the same goes for any of our songs. And I think the same goes for any song that makes you feel something and you might not have a clue what the singer is singing about. You could take the lyrics away and the themes away and just listen to the music, and I think you could kind of figure out where roughly the wheelhouse that the emotional state that the writer was coming from.
And that's my point with that song.
I was going to say actually the music alone, the music alone is quite emotive on that song.
Yeah,
like the section you played is one of my favorite sections of that song, and like there's lots of different sections. I don't know what it is about it. There's something very kind of driving, or like kind of like a lot of like kind of forward kind of moving energy to it, and the intro as well, like the intro guitar is really like, I remember that kind of like not took me by surprise, but it reminded me a bit of like Lowlander in terms of like the guitar work. It was very melodic
Spacious.
and emotive, and but I loved it instantly, like when I heard it first, that opening few notes. So yeah, like the song has like lots of different sections and parts and tempos and like kind of changes in tempo and feel. Like it's definitely very complex in that regard. Like it goes from like slow melodic to kind of fast furious bits, and it kind of comes back down again. There's a lot of kind of ebb and flow to the song, I think. I feel.
Yeah. And then the whole outro section as well,
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I remember bringing this song, actually the intro riff and the main riff of the song. Um, I'd been listening to shitloads of Crowbar. I think it was before we'd even played with them. And that was kind of like, especially the Sonic Excess, like that era Crowbar. I wanted to write these like really melodic and almost melancholic sort of guitar lines that still felt, how is this so heavy?
Yeah.
You know, and I remember showing it to the lads, and I remember, Anto, I don't know if you remember this, but you goes, we're gonna call that the melancholy riff or the emotional riff. So that main riff of the song was called the emotional riff for a while.
The emotional one.
Okay, on to the last instrumental, which is track 8 and a release attention. Yes, indeed.
Alex had to go. It was so fucking intense.
Yeah.
Another atmospheric one.
Like, even the quieter moments of Karst still sound fucking like discomforting, disquieting. You know, there's no even the title is called Relief Attention. It doesn't hint that there's any reliefs there. You know, it's fucking still ominous. It's brooding, you know. So
it's funny you mention that, because just yesterday we were chatting with someone else, and like I brought this up, this kind of idea of like this intensity in the quiet moments, which is like something that I think, like, certainly not deliberate. It's never something. I think it's, if anything, the opposite. We'd like try and do quiet sections as like moments of relief from the heavy sections, but they still somehow, I guess, end up being intense and even aggressive to the listener, which is quite funny to hear back, you know.
Yeah. What did you use on that, Anto?
Well, actually, Alex mentioned it earlier. I'm not actually sure if we used the Leslie speaker in the end on that. I know I tried it, but I know
maybe not.
I tried out this bass, like a chorus pedal for bass, electro harmonics. Fucking, what's it called? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on it. But I remember I tried it in the studio and I fell in love with it immediately, and I actually bought it. I bought one like brand new, like as soon as I left the studio. Bass clone, a clone.
Okay.
And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we didn't go with the Leslie because even though I found it interesting, I preferred this kind of digital sound of the pedal, and not the two of them together. But we recorded the bass parts in the studio, and the synth was added in Chris's house after, when I was doing the rest of my bass parts. That song, that interlude, is kind of funny actually. When Alex kind of let slip by mistake 2003 earlier, but I realized in that moment I actually wrote that song in like 2004, I think, like fucking over 20 years ago. It's one of the first things I wrote on bass, the main bit, the bit that starts off the instrumental, and the bit in the section you played that it develops into with the synths. I come up with that in the studio when like Kieran was like doing drums, and writing that bit then in the studio, it's just the same chords kind of like outlined, and I kind of had like a loose idea of like a synth, but and while like the lads were working on in the studio, I was messing about with synths in the background, but I don't have any experience and I didn't really know how to get it out. And Chris again, like, was a massive collaboration on that. He kind of he played the synths on that, and he really kind of brought out kind of the I don't know the feeling or atmosphere I had in my mind. He really kind of
Yeah.
captured it well.
Yeah.
Well, you did describe to him what you were.
Yeah. I kind of want like a rising, that kind of rising feeling
That
towards
pulsing feeling, yeah.
yeah, like, I don't know, towards like a kind of like a point or like a dot where everything disappears, or
Yeah.
that's the kind of release of tension.
No, you
It's-
achieved,
it's-
you achieved
it's
it
kind of-
musically, like.
Oh, it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
across.
It's
Every time I hear it, I get the same like that.
Uncomfortable feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
it's honestly like it's kind of a dark theme, like dark musically in terms of theme. Like the release of tension doesn't really mean anything, but it's kind of like about death, I suppose. And that feeling of everything coming to a point and then kind of vanishing, and that's the kind of release. Yeah, I think it works really well going into physics as well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. Here's the. Jesus, I had some fun picking out a section in this. But
The 1 million section
Oh
song.
Jesus.
yeah. Anyway, this is what I went with in the end.
Okay.
Incredible, lads.
Shaw, dude.
Yeah.
That is actually like I think physics is probably my favorite song on the album, and that section is actually my favorite to play. I love it so much, and that's parts of that kind of developed in the studio as well. At least like the bass parts. Another kind of collaborative bit with Chris. I had an idea to kind of play the same thing, kind of like an octave higher, and he had an idea for kind of like a counterpoint in it.
Okay.
And after I bought that pedal, the chorus pedal, that got slipped in as well. But yeah, that section is so much fun to play. Just lock it in like with the snare and changing to that kind of 3/4 waltz time section and coming back, and Alex's guitar changes. I love it.
Yeah, when that lead section comes in after that section, it's so nice.
Yeah.
It has a kind of like this kind of feeling of kind of change happening, like building towards something like a crescendo. Yeah, it's class.
Yeah, I don't think he would have wrote that 4 years ago, lads.
Well,
Funny you should
funny
say, because we actually wrote that like as the last album was coming out. I had written a couple of riffs for that. So the song, that's actually one of the oldest songs on the album.
The bones of it are about that old.
Fair enough, the bones, the actual whole complexity.
No, you're completely right. Like putting that song together. Actually, if you look at the way we had written the song, whatever it was, 5 or 6 years ago. But if you look at the old demos of that song, it sounds completely different to the way it sounds now. Like sections are played 10 times as fast and like
Yeah.
way too long. And
Longer.
Yeah.
you know, that's one of the songs that were written like 5 years ago, but we have edited and whittled and refined, and you know, that song has gone through it. That and the first song on the album, Blood Rust, have gone through the most amount of changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those took the longest to write.
Yeah.
Now the original riff, the opening riff of that song, and maybe one other riff or two other riffs in that song were kind of written probably in like 2020, early 2021, shortly after the first album came out, and we had been kicking it back and forth since then.
Okay.
And then there was like, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, I suppose with every song, there was a lot of like little like flavors and stuff that would happen, especially in Chris's house.
Well, like I mean, the section you just played, there's like 3 or 4 different guitar parts happening at one time. And
Yeah.
originally that was going to be just chords. And then I thought, okay, I'll do the chords and I'll outline an arpeggio. And then I thought, oh, there's a cool guitar solo section or lead section I could do here. And then I was like, you know what? There's a counter melody I could put in here. So
yeah.
things just kept getting added and layered. And I
The
know
whole, like noise kind of
I think that-
section.
earlier we talked about refinement, but this is a song almost in like excess. This is
Yeah.
maximalism.
True, yeah.
This is a song
Yeah.
of maximalism. You know, there's so much going on. There's so many
Yeah.
parts.
But
There's
I
so
think
many.
I think it deserves it as
Yeah.
an end section to the whole album, you know.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
was very
It's
easy to make.
It's almost a reward in one way for the listener to get to
For
this
hanging
point.
around.
Yeah, to get to this point, because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, totally.
you're bringing them along the whole time, and look, lads, this is the reward. This is the fruits of our labor.
I'm
here,
glad
you
you think that about that song, man, because that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the most ambitious. Like, well, Whitethorn is the darkest thematically. I think Physics is probably the most ambitious song we've ever done, and I think that the first album has things like Mantra and Ode to an Orb that are very long and have lots of sections and false endings and guitar solos that come out of nowhere. I think Physics is probably the most ambitious ever.
Yeah, and because you'd be in danger of like fatigue with it, you know.
But Anto said earlier about bringing sections back. Originally, the song was going to end on the sort of mad, crazy, psychedelic outro thing, and you know, we'd play that X amount of times. But we ended up bringing back the intro riff, a slight variation on the intro riff to the end of the song, and
Correct. Yeah.
there's a lot of reprise, and there's a lot of like musical composition that goes into this song that you wouldn't think of, like you know, for want of a better term, there's noise sections in this album or this song, sorry, but they're kind of, you lead into these noise sections by reprising a previous section, and then you're hit with this, you know, crazy outro.
Yeah, it's that, and that whole idea of like how you go in and out of sections, you know, that was like definitely a very considered aspect too, you know.
Very, very important, yeah.
I think that this song kind of had maybe like the most fine tuning in terms of kind of finishing the writing on it. Like a lot of the riffs are there for since good few years now, and even the rough composition is still kind of the same. But like an awful lot of fine tuning, even down to like you said, those bits we did in the studio. Yeah.
Even like guitar tone was considered like. I hate saying the words years ago, but the guitar tone was considered a good couple years ago, and it hasn't really changed. Like pretty much, you know, the meat and potatoes of this song have existed since late 2020, shortly after the first album, and haven't really changed that much. Like a lot of refining and a lot of fine tuning, like Anto said, but a lot of adding to, and pretty much from the off. This was the outro song for the album. We knew that pretty much.
Yeah.
There was a very brief period where we thought maybe we could open the album with this, and that's crazy because that would destroy the listener. But I think this had to be the closer. And we decided that pretty much. There was a brief period where we thought maybe we could open. No, that's crazy. We're closed. And once we decided closer, it stayed closer.
Yeah, I think we briefly had Tower as the closer as well once.
Once we decided Physics, that was the one.
Yeah. So then, representing it then with the artwork, you know, like it's I know you've collaborated, Alex, Kieran, with Danu Bouquets. Maybe just talk about that, and then Colin then doing the border work.
Well,
It's
so we originally wanted to go with this like 3-piece like black and white photograph where you'd have the sky, the ocean, and then the land.
Yeah, a very literal representation of Karst, basically.
It
Yeah.
was too on the
Okay.
nose. We took me and Kieran went out and took shitloads of pictures, and we got it just wasn't working out. It looked good, but it wasn't what we wanted. And
Yeah.
we have a lot of time together in the car driving back from Anto's house to Limerick. So we'd kick around ideas, and we were like, I loved the album cover for Bullhead by the Melvins.
Okay.
It's basically like a graphic still life of fruit and vegetables. And you look at that and go, what the fuck is this going to be? But it sticks in your mind. You know, I'm sure everyone has an album cover like that. It's a graphic thing that sticks in your mind. And I thought that would be something like that would be cool. But how do we represent, you know, the land? How do we represent Karst? And, you know, long story short, we ended up going with, what about a bouquet of flowers? You can look back at my phone from like 2002 or 3, and there's different variations of flowers sticking out of
22.
rocks, or it's 3.
Yeah.
23 maybe, I'd say.
Let's not get stuck down the
but-
finer details. Come on, let's.
Yeah, but like I've got all these different, like we both have these ideas, and we kind of came to like, oh, what about a bouquet of flowers sticking out of a rock? A rock became a vase. The vase became the stone vessel that Melissa had, and we thought, what about a bouquet of flowers? And you know, Melissa, or Danu Mechanics, came on board to help us. We basically showed her what we wanted. We definitely wanted mayflowers off the hawthorn tree. We wanted gorse. We wanted some stone, and then some dying flowers and some blooming flowers.
Yeah.
The whole idea is like spring flowers, like the mayflower and the gorse. That's new life. And then you have the stone vessel, which is sort of
The land.
which is always giving life and always taking life. But you've got dying buttercups, you've got dying bluebells, and so on. So
Which is actually kind of an incidental thing on the day, because it was a super hot sunny day when we shot this, and some of the flowers just started to wilt down the sides as we were shooting, and that just became like an aspect of it.
It was always meant to be like some of the flowers are blooming, some of them are dying, and it's
on the way out.
It's like this.
Like I've beauty in the state of collapse. That's what I've done in the process.
Well, that's exactly it. Like life is blooming and life is dying, and it's always going to be cyclical, and it's always going to be like, you know, life is it's a very short ride. You're not here for a long time. Make the most of it. The body's not going to last forever, but the soul will. And as cliche as that might sound, you know, that's the crux of what this album cover was about. And then getting Melissa on board, or Danu Mechanics on board, like that's kind of what she does. She builds bouquets. So we kind of knew, let's say, the ingredients. Like we were, myself and Kieran were like the directors, and she sort of put it together. She was the videographer, so to speak, or you know, she made it look good. I had the velvet backdrop. Like we shot it at my house, and you know, used our 2 cameras, and we took loads of different angles, and then went in and painstakingly painted the background out of the flowers. So the only shadows that you see are on the vase.
Right.
So it's this arrangement of flowers living inside a void, which kind of goes more into the, you know.
Yeah. Like, you know, from my point of view, like when I was looking at it, I had to write it down. Like the cover art initially feels completely disconnected from the music until you spend time with the album and realize both are obsessed with beauty, decay, and collapse.
Yeah.
And that's
100%.
That's what I took from it.
It's all like a cyclical thing, like, you know, like what starts out beautiful might end up decaying into something absolutely rotten. But then eventually that rotten thing may give life to something that will become beautiful again. It's a cyclical nature of life and death and rebirth and all that sort of thing.
And getting Colin involved then for the border.
Well, that was we knew that from the get-go. Whether we were going to have the photograph, we knew that Colin was going to be involved some way or another in making a border, because I think I was looking at, I think we were all kind of agreeing that that there's a solo album that Stephen Von Till put out.
Oh yeah.
That has this really beautiful border around it. I can't for the life of me think of the name of the album off my head.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of albums out there that have cool artwork, but I always love the idea of like of those borders sort of making parameters around something, and then especially having the band name and the album name,
Yeah.
Worked into the border. It's sort of more a visual thing more than anything, but then keeping that sort of Celtic thing there, which has that there's like thorns, which again, that comes down to the flowers.
And in terms of collaboration as well, like I've said before about like how we choose collaborators is like we choose them because we just know they'll do a good job. We can trust them basically, and we knew that Colin is someone that can be trusted.
Yeah.
And like I remember we met up with him in a pub, and just kind of went through the sort of general concepts and everything. Like we're very clear about like do whatever you want. We just free reign basically. But we gave him the concepts, and he was like straight away just getting like cluing into everything we were talking about. And
well, he got excited basically straight away from we told him roughly what the album was about and sort of concepts for the album cover, and he got excited straight away, and it was great to see that he was into it. And from the off, he was like, "Yeah, I'm into it. I know exactly what I want to do." And of course, he did a great job.
Yeah, and I think like he sent us back an image for the front cover, and we're like, "Yeah, that's it."
Yeah, boom. First draft, first shot, nailed it.
There you go. Yeah. So, what part of yourselves exists inside Karst that wasn't there before?
Wasn't there before?
Wow, good question. Great question.
I think everything's in there, right?
Yeah.
It's
all encompassing.
I think there's a much more serious edge.
Yes,
I think from all of us, I think
honesty. Yeah,
there's a lot. Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot more honest than it ever was before, and it's a lot more introspective, and there was a lot more sitting with oneself and sort of, without getting too wanky, like it was, you look inward for inspiration rather than how do you make my bandmate chuckle, how do I make myself go, oh. I think it's more honest, it's more raw, it's more real.
Yeah, and then going on from that, like just trying to serve the song at every point, and just like, and in a way, to put it simply, it's not cut corners.
Yeah,
there was like a very conscious thing. The whole part of the process was like just doing everything as well as you possibly could.
I think also there's a lot of trust amongst the three of you that went into this album, and trusting others to bring your sound to Karst,
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean for the three of us anyway, like because of like, we've been mates for like over a decade, and been in a band for like a good bit of that time.
Yeah.
So
pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, so that pretty much actually. So that alone, it kind of, that you've got this sort of bedrock to build from. Of trust and kind of like and collaboration, that it all just kind of comes from there, and you kind of, it's just easier, I suppose, to just to make stuff happen.
Well, like if we write a riff for a song, whatever, like the last, there's no explanation. It's just, here's my idea.
Yeah.
Try this, and like,
and especially like visually talking about like a lot of artwork, like you'll say something, and like I think as soon as you said bouquet, I got this image in my head, and we both had this exact same picture, and as soon as you saw the bouquet finish, we were like, yeah, that's exactly what we were both thinking.
Light bulb moment, like.
Yeah. Okay, so the album is coming out on the 29th of May, lads. It's on Curse Monk Records, which I'm repping there, on wearing the hat. It'll also be out on CD with Road to Masochist, is it?
Masochist, yeah.
Road to Masochist, yeah.
On cassette then with Fia.
Yes.
Fia Records. Yeah. Bingo.
Brilliant. And what was I going to say? So 29th of May. And anything else, lads, before we finish up? Bar me saying congratulations on, once again, an incredible album. It's an amazing journey for ye as a band, musically wise as well. Blew me away, and I knew you were capable of doing something like that for a long time, and so it's just a lovely feeling personally myself, to get you on the show to celebrate it, really. So
I
thanks.
really appreciate that.
Man, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Very kind words, man. Thank you. That means a lot. I agree. I think we definitely had it in us, and I'm glad that we were able to put it out and sort of come together and make something like this.
Yeah.
In terms of what's next or whatever else to look out for, we can't say too much, but Monkfest is a big one. We'll have some merch coming out. And I guess that's just not really much else. Yeah, we have some t-shirts and some long sleeves maybe coming out for the album.
Three
Monkfest.
different physical releases of the album, so
3 physical releases.
like
Yeah. Tape, cassette,
like
CD, like you said.
go buy your physical release of choice and sit down and listen to it.
Yes, indeed.
I think
Immersive
listen to it with your friends on a hi-fi speaker, but also I think it's important to listen to it on headphones because there's a lot of hidden
yes
little bits and pieces in there for people as well. You know.
Yeah, like it's very much definitely designed as
It's
a
layered.
journey.
It's very layered.
Sure.
So enjoy it in as many ways as you possibly can if you so choose to purchase it.
Yes, indeed. So, Kieran, Anto, and Alex, thanks again for coming on the show, lads, and congratulations on a brilliant release. And
cheers, Richie.
Support your local metal scene.
Yeah, big time.
Peace.
Thanks, man.